everybody. Welcome to another edition of Blue Blood on the Mainline. I'm your host, Curtis Sumpter, and I'll be joined today by one of the Villanova all-time greats, Chuck Everson. If you ever come to a Villanova game, I'm sure you'll see this man there. We talk in our program about coming back, giving back to the younger classes and playing for the guys before you. Chuck is a guy who's always been around since day one that I remember coming to Villanova. He's at almost every game. So welcome to the show, Chuck. What's going on, brother?
Hey, Kurt. How are you, man? Thanks for having me on. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Glad to have you here. Just like I stated in the introduction, you are one of the most familiar faces when it comes to Villanova basketball. Anybody who's come to a game in the last 30 years, 25 years, I'm sure have seen you. You're highly recognizable. And I think that, when we say play for the guys before you, you are one of the first guys that come into my mind just because you are a familiar face.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. Not bad for a guy that played only 3 minutes in the championship game, Kurt. So, I kind of milked that 3 minutes for 37 years now, pal. So there you go. That's what you get.
Oh, man. I mean, just talk a little bit about that season, man. I can't even imagine that whole entire year. I know you told the story 1,000 times. What an unbelievable ride. You guys had a great season that year. I think you guys were like 25-10, 9-7 in the Big East. And I guess, you guys didn't expect to win a championship or even maybe perhaps get that far, but you guys did something spectacular in the tournament, man. What was that ride like? Please tell me.
It was magic, because we didn't even know we were going to get in. First of all, we got waxed by Pittsburgh by I think it was close to 30. It was so bad, Kurt, that CBS made the player of the game from the Villanova team the whole second team. So everybody got Chevrolet player of the game that didn't start, That's never happened before that I know of. But Coach Mass said, look, you got 2 minutes to play. And if you don't come out and play, I'm pulling everybody out. I don't really care that this could mean us making the tournament or not. I don't really care. You better start playing. And we didn't. And true to his word, he yanked everybody. And it's funny because I've talked to the Pittsburgh guys since. I've talked to Charles Smith and Keith Armstrong and a bunch of them, Joey David, and they all say the same thing to me. They say, "You're welcome." I said, "Yeah, thanks," because that propelled us through the Big East tournament because we had to come back and play them a couple of days later at Madison Square Garden in the first round of the tournament, and we beat them. And then that just sent us on a magic carpet ride through the tournament, which really we didn't know we were getting in. And then, as it turned out, they expanded it to 64 teams. That was the first year. So we were an 8 seed. We're the lowest seed ever to win, and we had our first game on Dayton's home court against Dayton. So Coach Mass lost his mind that we're playing Dayton on their home floor, and we just eked that one out by 2. And then we went on to play Michigan. They were a number 1 seed, got by them. Then played the great Lenny Bias and Maryland. Right? Yeah, and we held them to 8 points, which had never been done before or since. So Eddie did an outstanding job, but everybody kept doubling down on Len. So he always had 2 or 3 bodies around him every time he touched the ball, And, the neat thing is, Kurt, is when you talk about that run, when you gave Coach Mass 5 days to prepare, we didn't lose. So every first round game in other words, the first round of 2 games, you got the first game, we won. The second game, we lost a couple of those in my career, but if we get to the first round of the next series, we won because he had all this time to prepare. He was a genius at making moves and putting things in last minute, and then we get North Carolina and played a poor first half, come back in, and he gives the famous pasta speech at halftime, which was crazy because he's talking about, if I'd have known it was going to come to this, I would rather be home right now eating a big bowl of pasta with linguine and clam sauce with a lot of cheese on it. Everybody's like, what the hell what are you talking about? We're about to get bounced again by North Carolina because that's been our kind of nemesis in the Elite Eight,
Yeah.
And
so
yeah, so he, really what he was saying was relax, go out and have fun. Just go play. And everybody's eyes lit up, and and we went out and killed it in the second half, and then got Memphis, and we kind of knew we were going to beat them because we get to the hotel, and the Memphis team is checking in, and the coach and some of the fans are there, and they're saying, hey, look, when we beat Nova, we want their rooms. So put their rooms aside for us, because when we win this game, we're going to take their rooms. And we said, well, that ain't going to happen. So, and they weren't in the Big East.
You can't do that.
They weren't invited to the Big East part. There was 3 teams in the Final Four from the Big East. It's never happened before,
Wow, you're right. I definitely think I've seen 2, probably UConn and Syracuse.
It's only happened one
3.
time. Yeah, it's only happened one time.
That's crazy, man.
It was really crazy. And then, then you Coach Mass let us be kids a little bit. It wasn't like, I respected Jay for like those guys on the 16 and 18 teams. You didn't see those guys, when they went. It was like you didn't see when Coach Ray got the job, you didn't see any players. Back in 2002, Coach was very, when we on the road, we were the team, like, you got like 10 minutes to see your parents, if that, you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like, it's just, we here on business. Well, you know what? He let us be kids, man, which was crazy because, you get meal money for games, So guys would go out. Now, this would never in a million years happen under Jay's watch, okay? But we would go out, like if we were playing in the Big East tournament, I'd go out to the Hard Rock Cafe and I'd be eating a bacon cheeseburger with a Coke, and you guys, I was there when, they're handing out the meal money when you get off the bus, coming into the arena, coming home, and they're giving you $5, $10, whatever was left. I go, what the hell kind of meal money is that?
Yeah.
We would get meal money. Like at Christmas time, guys would go down to Canal Street and buy their girlfriends presents.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
it's crazy. Matter of fact, we were in a huddle right before we broke the last huddle, and we go out on the court together. We'd say 1, 2, 3 meal money because everybody wanted to keep eating and keep getting meal money. That's what we said.
Coach was good. We would get our meal money, but he would also pay out his own pocket. He would make sure we also ate too. You know what I mean? So it was like, it was your meal money that you're supposed to get, but I done got you guys all this food too. So so you still don't have to spend your money, but meal money was always getting saved because we never had a chance to go anywhere and spend it.
Yeah. Unbelievable, right?
Which was crazy. Coach was, all my friends, played in different schools, universities. I would talk to them. And I'm like, damn, you guys actually got somewhat of a life. Like, I don't think I have a life here. Like,
yeah.
Was like business.
Mass was great because he, like, if we played in Florida, say, at a tournament, he said, okay, I got tickets for everybody to go to Disneyland or Disney World. Be back here by 7 for film. If you're not back here at 7, don't come back because you're not going to want to be here if you're not. So listen, he set the law down and you paid the piper if you screwed up. However, he let you be a kid. He gave you an opportunity to mess up. And most of us didn't, but occasionally, there was a lot of suicides ran at the end of the day, that happened. So that kind of stuff.
As for I don't know, maybe Coach was still young and fiery, when we got the job. I'm not sure where Mass was, in his career, but Coach still had to, build this program. He had to put a stamp on it with our class. He took over the program where the whole team was divided between underclassmen and seniors. So just getting control over everybody was kind of difficult. So he came with a different hat on. Yeah. Very, very firm, assertive, strong. But even with all of that, he still had that charismatic, approach, but he never let up. He never showed you a soft side or anything like that.
Right.
Charisma, it was either he was charismatic or he was in your ass about something, But always from a perspective of like business. I couldn't understand. I was like, why? This is basketball, but you keep saying everything is business. And I understood it And we all understood it by midway through our freshman year, like everything was business. That's why I said when we traveled, when we went, we couldn't step outside. You couldn't do anything. It was more so we here, take care of business. If you have family or relatives that come to the hotel, you can meet them outside in the lobby, spend some time. But
Yeah.
can I go with my family? Can I do this? Like, nah, we no distractions. We have a goal. And I think those habits that he instilled, everyone is just, I feel like is like that now to where even in my personal life, since then, it's like if I know I got something important, it's like I gotta block everything else out and take care of this, It's like I got business.
Yep.
Like, well, you can multitask. I'm like, nah, let me get this thing done first, Like it's just
Yeah.
my whole thing before I can move on.
It's amazing how much influence a coach can have on you, even as you get. I'm almost 60. I'm 58 years old, and I coach kids and I talk to my own kids, even as adults and stuff. And I hear two voices coming out of my mouth: my dad's and Coach Mass. And not necessarily in that order. I mean,
Right.
it's unbelievable. So I know exactly what you're talking about, and I was thankful to him that the relationship with him was only this much about basketball. Like I was there with him right until he took his last breath, and stayed close with him and made visits. And not only me, and it was other guys as well. We would go down to Florida, Kurt, and hang with him. Like it started out with Brian Harrington and I, and we would go down and just watch a game and go to practice. And he was like a proud father of the two of us. He'd say, these are my guys from the championship team. And, they would show us off to all his boys down there, and then we would go to a game, and that led to Presley coming out and Jensen coming out. And next thing you know, you got 15 guys, assistant coaches, managers, former players, all crashed out in his house. And if we got too crowded, he told one of his neighbors to go on vacation, and we got his house. And so it was wild. And we got to spend that time with them. And those were the best times, better than when you were playing, because you were kind of like on a different level, just sitting in the backyard, having a glass of wine, and a couple of guys were smoking cigars or whatever, and just shooting the breeze about, stories that happened, and just the laughter and the camaraderie. And then if you had a serious issue or any issue, he was the first guy called, and so the relationship, the reason I told you that the relationship between a coach and a player goes way deeper, especially at Villanova, because Villanova, Jay took the principles that Coach Mast had, he polished them all up and made them his own. Okay. Eventually Kyle's going to put his fingerprints on the program, and they're going to be his principles, So we've only had 6 coaches since 1936. That's incredible, really, if you think about that.
That's very incredible. It shows, I want to say, the commitment by the university too. I guess understanding like good people, not measuring the program so much on wins and losses, but I guess the message they're trying to send out to the kids and develop, and also just being a great ambassador to the university. We've had some really good ambassadors to the university come through that program, and the result of that has been wins. If that was the idea in the beginning, maybe it wouldn't have worked out that way. You want to just get good people first, and then it all transition to wins. And like you said, Coach Wright learned from Coach Mass, and Kyle's learned from Coach Wright. And some of the things you're talking about, Coach Mass, I see it in Coach Wright, or I'm like, oh, that's where he get it from, and certain things. Yeah. And it's an amazing place, like you said, to be a part of. And coaches, I too myself, I hear my dad's voice and I hear Coach Wright's voice, and it's crazy. Up until his retirement, but a lot of important decisions that I've made in my life, I always run them by my parents. It's just my thing. My dad, hey, what you think? I'm just thinking of this, but I also would run them by him too, just to see. Like I might have not spoken to him in a couple months, but and it's because I just need that assurance that because I know he's gonna tell me straight, and I respect, everything he said. And just getting a little bit off topic, but kind of staying on the same topic. You hear a lot of things going on right now about, Deion Sanders leaving the program of Jackson State and going to Colorado.
Right.
and you hear so many different messages. And you know, being African American male, like I was torn too as well, because I thought he can do some really great things there, more great things there, and be somewhat of a leader, and galvanize more people to make um to make sacrifices, or I guess take challenges, you know, and try to build up the HSBCUs. But in the same breath, when he decided to leave and continue to pursue his own goals and what he wants to do, I said to myself too, like, he did what when I hear him say, I did what I wanted, he did what
Exactly.
he had to do there. And also, all those kids he touched and all those people surrounding the program that he touched, and within those 3 years, they're going to continue to hear his voice the same way you hear Coach Matt's voice, the same way I hear Coach Wright's voice continuously down the road. So they're going to take the teachings of him and apply it, because I think they respected, they saw, they got results. And that's the thing, when you get results, that sticks with you, you know, and
Yeah.
they're going to reciprocate that to others. So I definitely think he's still going to be, he did his job. And I think his message and what he was trying to do is still going to spread throughout that community. And then he's also going to do the same at Colorado. So just to bring it back to your point, like, coaches are so important in your life, because again, like, you're with them for the most part every day, every other day, and they're drilling you. You're with your parents. That's the voice you hear. And part of it is teaching you whatever sport or whatever it is they want to teach you, but also life lessons. You know, almost more so than like your parent. Like, your parents are on you, but your parents are not like on you every day. Like, coach job is
Yeah.
to be like this. Like, they can't miss anything.
I never really
So,
had conversation with my parents about current events, you know. So like we'd be at practice and he'd go, sit down. And he'd have everybody sit down, and something happened in the news. And he goes, this is why you can't. And he would go into a whole thing and goes, okay, now let's go play, you know. But that would be every practice, you know, that's how he was. So, you know, I
Coach
know
Rachel,
that, man.
you have to bring some humanization to it as well. Can't just all be about basketball.
Yeah.
And again, just taking life examples and showing how, you know, basketball can translate to this, or football, whatever it is. Like,
Right.
it's just a great thing, how to deal with adversity.
Yep.
You know, just I would have never think I would have been mentally tough to go through some of the things I've went through without uh Coach Wright's uh mindset that he's helped instill in myself and in others about, you know, just next play, your attitude, not spending time on things you can't control, like all these other things, like blocking out outside noise, like
Yep.
just really having these blinders on and having tunnel vision, has helped me get through some things. Now, it's also, I think, I internalized some things as well, you know, because you try to keep it to yourself, but I think more so than not, it's help, because
Yeah.
I wasn't focusing on other things where I can still just kind of push through. So those are the things that I just loved about just Coach Wright and the whole program. Again, he learned it from your guy Nash.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? And like you say, it's not just about basketball. It's way beyond basketball. And he's a guy that, if you know, I remember distinctly, you know, for me, speaking for myself, I was having a rough go, and he said, "Come on, we're going to the gym." So he took me in his car. We went to the gym. We had a steam and a sauna, and we just talked about life. And I left there, and I went, "Okay, it's not so bad. Just go play, man." You know, it's like, stop worrying so much about making mistakes and go play. You know, and same thing he did with Jensen, and all of a sudden, Harold Jensen became Harold Jensen after he spoke with Coach and went on that run in '85, and he was, you know, that was it. If he didn't do what he did, we don't win, you know. So he just went to a whole nother level just from having a conversation and saying it's okay to fail, just go out and do your best, and you know, and that kind of thing. And it worked great, you know.
Remember my freshman year, same thing. I was having a tough time finding time on the court. I couldn't understand what was going on. I thought I was doing better than I guess
Yeah.
I was doing. Wasn't meeting the expectation what Coach Wright wanted, so have you. So I would get my workouts in after practice as well, individual, and still wasn't, you know, finding it. I felt like it was he started, so I would work out with Coach Jones after practice, like every day for like 30 minutes, just and my teammates got to the point where they would just after practice get their water bottles, come sit next on the side and say, "Go ahead, Kurt, go do your thing," because it was like, okay, Kurt, let's go get this work in. Because I was a little late bloomer than the other guys, and I was torn between positions and things of that nature. I don't think it was until Coach Wright, and I don't want to take anything away from Coach Jones, because Coach Jones helped a lot, but maybe just seeing Coach Wright come and just say, okay, I'm going to take over some of these workouts after. I don't know, just that little intimacy, and though I felt like it was just us, that was our talk. I felt like, that I needed,
Yeah.
like my confidence. It was just, and I felt like even my time there, I didn't see, and not to say Coach Wright didn't do it, or maybe I just didn't see it, but like the practice, after 3 hour practice, things are going on, but Coach really isn't, spending much time with the guys right after. That's more so the assistants. He might got
Yep.
obligations, but he would take that time out. Like every day, we would go to a whole nother court, me and him, and we would just, and I felt like my game went from
Exactly. Well, now
here
you're
to
dealing
like
with the boss. You're not
here.
dealing with second in command. That's
Yeah,
a huge thing, man.
and the confidence, you know what I mean? Because I trusted everything Coach Jones was saying, but I'm like, and it was working. I felt it was working, but I wasn't feeling I was getting the results. But when Coach Rice said, "All right, I'm gonna do a couple of these," I just felt like it just went to a whole nother level. And
Yeah.
that's where that real trust came in. I think, he trusted me more, and I also trusted him more.
Yeah.
And it helped our team out tremendously. Because it was like, I think it was like, where can we put this guy? Like, we can put him here. And it was once we
Oh, yeah.
figured out, like, okay, how I can play within the team, I thought, our like the whole team just elevated, man. But
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I was doing some research on you, and I was noticing some things. So when you got drafted back in '86, there was how many rounds was it? There was like
Eight
eight
rounds.
rounds,
Yeah.
like
I got
6 rounds,
drafted in the 6th round.
6th round. Like, did you
But I
ever
have a
draft
lot of
all
fun with that, Kurt, because you know
balls
how it
back
is
then?
with the guys, right?
Okay.
So I'll tell you a funny story about that, right? So during the 16 run, I would text a lot with Danny O'Sheffley, and we got
Yes.
close,
Mhm.
and we'd go back and forth. And Mark Plansky, who's also I was a teammate, but also more than that, he's my brother. We're really tight. So he's hanging with Danny at some event. So I get a call from them, and Danny says to me, Mark says that I shouldn't really be hanging out with you. You're not going to help me get to the league. And he starts laughing like he's going to bust my chops. But he doesn't know that I'm a professional chop breaker. So I said, well, listen, put me on speaker, Chef. He said, okay. I said, now ask Mark, who's a Hall of Famer. Ask Mark who he got drafted by. Go ahead, ask him. So Danny goes, well, who'd you get drafted by? I said, you're not going to hear nothing. You're going to hear crickets. So he starts laughing. Mark goes, come on. I said, well, now ask me. Go ahead. Ask me who I got drafted by, Danny. So I said, I got drafted by the Utah Jazz. Now, I'm not going to tell him it was the 6th round, Kurt.
Don't matter. My name
It
was
don't
called.
matter. Yeah.
It don't matter. It don't matter.
So
They chose me.
so Danny goes, I said, so Dan, who should you be hanging out with, me or Plansky, to ask him? So he didn't know what to say. So,
oh my God, man.
So funny.
I can't imagine. Like I said, it was like 5 or 6 guys from that '85 team that actually got drafted, whether between that year and the following year.
It
pretty
was,
good.
I'll tell you who got drafted. It was obviously Eddie and Prez, Dwayne, Jensen, myself, and Gary, I think, got drafted by the Nets last round or something.
Yeah.
But Mark wound up playing with Miami and another, not the Celtics, Miami and somebody else. He was on the preseason stuff and everything before he got released. But it wasn't even about that. It was just about us, and it still is all these years later. And my favorite part of that team is the closeness that we have even today. Like in the last 2 days, I've talked to 4 different guys, and that's a weekly occurrence that happens all the time, And even now, I'll take it a step further because you had mentioned we play for those who come before us and all that kind of stuff. Getting to be friendly with guys that played way after me and before me has been a lot of fun too. So like I think it was the LaSalle game this year. It was the first game. It was Kyle's. It was Nep's first game. So I hung out with Will from your squad, right, and Chef. So I said, well, here's 3 generations of Nova centers, you know, and back in the day, the former player used to, you know, buy the drinks or whatever for. So I said, listen, I guess it's the old man's turn now. I'm the old man now, hanging out with the young guys, and I'm thinking, and I go, Will is 10 years older than Chef, and I'm 20 years older than Will, and I'm keeping up with these guys. I said, that's pretty good. I'll take that. That's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Not bad. So we took a great photo and put it on. I said, it's 3 generations of Nova Bigs, you know. It was pretty fun.
I love the tradition that we have. A
lot of teams don't have that, Kurt, you know.
I know
now that I'm talking to a lot of guys with the Big East thing that we do, a lot of guys don't have that camaraderie, man. And I'm shocked because I'm thinking that's the way it is everywhere, but it really isn't, you know.
I'm talking big time players, great college careers, things of that nature, schools that you would just no ties. It's like they're done. Have people that went to some of these other great institutions who envy Villanova, how close we are. When I talk to them about the things that I'm doing, they're like, what? And, oh, man, I wish. And, you know what I mean? I'm just like, wow, you guys don't have that?
No.
But that always was something that I remember from the beginning when Coach Wright got the job and I got there. He was just trying to bring everybody together. And all he did was talk about the guys who played before us. And we knew absolutely nobody. The only person named that, like, he wouldn't mention so much Tim Thomas because Tim was there for a short time.
Yeah.
Kerry, I feel like he didn't have to mention Kerry because we kind of knew who Kerry, you know, but also Kerry was just, you know, kind of almost like a face of him at the time, still within that. But he made sure to highlight everyone else. And the first thing that used to be there when you walked into the pavilion was the 85 team picture. Boom.
Right.
So
yeah, right.
It was like, as soon as you walk in there, it's like, yes, these are the guys. And he would constantly tell us and say Villanova was Duke before Duke. I tell that story all the time. And I said, I used to laugh and say, what are you talking about? Villanova was never Duke. But that was just me not understanding, you know, what he meant, you know, like the tradition, you know, not maybe not all the wins, but just with the family, like just everything, the brotherhood. And during my time there, I would see it. And people coming around, like you said, every summer jam, like the gym is just packed with Villanova basketball players, you know, from generations back till now. I have relationships with guys. It's crazy. The older generation, the younger generation. Yeah. I feel like it's just like nothing's never really changed. And I enjoy it. Like that's one of the highlights I can say is being able to still walk into the building and know people. You know, I feel like it's hard as like
you feel like you're going home, right, Kurt? I mean, that's what it feels like, right?
It feels home. You know? Like you don't want to remove yourself for 10, 15 years and come back and be like, I don't know. No.
I tell you what's cool about that too is every one of us are ambassadors, you know, and Jay at the time, Jay wanted everybody to contribute to the program in some way, shape, or form. You know, some guys can do it monetarily. They can afford to do that. Some guys can't, you know, but everybody can give up their time and be an ambassador, talk to people, take pictures with people, sign autographs, whatever it takes. You know, I come to a game. I always wear my ring when I go to a game. People want to try my ring on and take pictures with it on. I have no issue, none of that, you know. But one of the coolest things is occasionally you run into a guy who hasn't been around in a long time. You know, I'll give you an example of a guy. Aaron Howard would not be around. So when it was,
you just made a name. You just said a name, and I'm like, who?
Yeah,
I was going to say who.
Well, yeah. Well, Aaron was was a guy with great length. He was a tremendous defensive player. He played the top of the 1-3-1, and nobody can get by Aaron. He was there before me. When he left, then I came in. Okay. So Coach Mass says to me, as I knew it was going to be Coach Mass's last summer jam. He wasn't doing well, and you know, he was starting to fade. So I said, look, I called the guys. Who do you want? You know, he goes, I don't think I'm going. I go, you're going. I said, if I have to go grab you and drive you there, you're going. I said, because everybody's coming back to see you. He goes, do me a favor. Can you call Aaron and get Aaron to come back? Okay. So I call Aaron, no answer. Call him again, no answer. I call Eddie and I say, hey, listen, can you get a hold of Ski and have him call me? It's very important that I talk to him. You know, I told Ed the story. I said, just tell him to call me and I'll straighten everything out. So he calls me back in a minute. You know, as soon as I hung up with Ed called him and he was on the phone a minute later. And he said, look, Chuck, I goes, I'm not going to anything. You know, I had to call Creighton to get tickets for a game. This is BS. I'm not doing this. I go, listen, stop. I said, let me explain something to you. Did you ever once ask any of your teammates how this works? He said, no. I said, well, then it's on you because you don't know what you're missing. I said, I'm telling you, you will be treated like royalty because you played here. Doesn't matter how much you played, if you were a walk-on or anything. Everybody gets treated the same, basically, you know? I said, you're going to walk out of there. You're going to go there. You're going to walk out with gear and you're going to be able to go to practice. And you're going to go, you're kidding me. I said, listen to me, man. You got to show up at Summer Jam. I said, the boss is asking for you. He only asked me specifically to get you because he hasn't seen you. And I said, we're in the fourth quarter with him. I don't know how much time's left on the clock. You need to show up. I said, and by the way, you need to bring Alex Bradley with you too. So he says, okay. So him and Alex show up. Coach and I are sitting in the where we had the luncheons, you know, at the golf tournament there, that big room. So I said, hey, look who came in. So he jumps up like a little kid at Christmas because he hadn't seen Aaron since graduation. Right. So he comes in, they hug, they took a picture. So I go talk to Jay. I said, you know, Aaron hasn't been back in a while. I said, you know, I'm just letting you know so you can do what you do. Right. He said, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So now what happens is we go to practice. He calls Aaron out in the middle of everybody and tells the current guys, this is Aaron Howard. This is what he did. So Jay knew the histories, you know. So Aaron's been back to everything now. Aaron comes back all the time. As there are other guys that's happened with that, you know, if you hear it from a player's perspective, and believe me, our Alicia Davidson does an outstanding job. She's wonderful, really is really, really good. But she didn't play, and there's nothing to do with her or what she does. She puts the information out. All I do is reiterate what she did. Yes. And you hear it from a guy that played, and I don't know, it sounds different coming from me. I don't know why, or anybody that would have done that, you know, not just me. And guys respond. So I would talk to a guy that we haven't seen him around in a while, but I know he played. You know, a lot of guys from the Lapis era, you know, were late in coming around for whatever reason. Sure, I said, man, whatever kind of way you're feeling, get rid of it. I said, life's too short, and come enjoy what you have here.
I'm enjoying.
And so that's how guys have been coming back. You know, there's been a lot of guys that haven't been around that are now coming back, you know.
I know that you mentioned a great point, the Lapis guys. Because I played with a couple of them, and still, like you said, just trying to get guys back. And it's challenging, you know. I guess, you know, like I said, you come to play for one guy, another guy maybe comes in, maybe things don't go as you thought, different plans. I get all of that. And it can be hard. And honestly, it might take guys some time to get over it, get all of that. You know, you have to, you know, get it out your system. But at some point, as we get older, because during those times, you're still young, you know, you're still, you know, trying to figure things out. You get older, you understand it. I think you should come back. I mean, this is a great program. And again, no one cares what you did when you were here. They just care that you were here and you were a part of it, you know.
You know, I'm a perfect example of that, Kurt. You know, I was a role player. My job was to back up Eddie and and hopefully Prez, like here, my deal was this. I would come in for Ed, I'd give him 2 minutes, right? My job was to play well enough in 2 minutes to impress coach, to leave me in and have him put Harold in, you know, and leave me, you know, put Eddie back in and take Harold out. And then I want to play well enough for him to put Harold in and take Train out, so I could stay in for 6 or 8 minutes. That was the way I looked at it, you know.
Of course,
and so if you're talking about status based on playing time, it has nothing to do with it. Nobody cares, and guys don't get that, you know. Like there are guys on the '85 team that are still mad that they didn't play in that run. And I'm going, get over it. It's 35 years, man. Get over it, man. You know, you're missing out on all this stuff on life. And not only that, this is such a cool thing, because to me, I don't know how you feel. I'd be curious to hear what you have to say, because to me, it wasn't about the games and winning and losing games. The best fun for me about playing basketball at Villanova was the locker room. And for all of us, Father Time is undefeated. So at some point, the ball's going to stop bouncing. But the locker room, the way I thought, the locker room never has to stop. You know, you can have that until you pass away. I'm hoping that if I'm laying on my last bed, you know, on my deathbed, I'm hoping I have guys come up to see me and are breaking my chops while that would be
right.
Heaven
I can go in peace. Right.
Yeah, you know. That's the kind
so funny.
You know?
One of the sayings, Coach Wright, I'm not sure if he got this from Mask, maybe so. But he would say, you know, everyone's role is different, but everyone's status is the same. And
yeah, and he polished that up. That's not the way Coach said it, but Jay is so much more polished that comes out. I get it now, the way Jay says it, you know.
Yeah. And it was like, it was so early on, like he would say it, but again, it meant that, hey, I know the ball might be coming to you, you might be getting shots, but even though the walk-on, you know, whoever the walk-on may be, Tommy Grace, Lou Rusky, my freshman year, they are just as important to this program as you are, even though you're on scholarship, if not more important right now, because of the leadership, what I expect from them. And it taught you to really just be a part of something. That's all he kept saying. It was like, I don't want individuals. You got to be a part of something. But that was the sell anyway, in trying to get myself, Alan, Randy, Jason, Mikey Baker here, was to, you know, get Villanova to a point to where he would say, like, when you guys leave, you'll be forever remembered here. And like our, you know, team and everything would just, like, Villanova will just be where it needs to be. And I think we literally, because everyone came in here with their own shit. Everyone had their own mindset and, you know, top guys and good guys, but also had, you know, some own agendas. I think he completely snatched that out of us. He took that out like that. You weren't even thinking about yourself. It was just about being a part of something. And you saw the respect from, you know, again, a guy who don't even play. But yeah, he can come on. If he see, like, I remember Tommy Grace and Lou Rusky were being my shit. And they told me later on what it was about, though. But freshman year, they was like, no, we just saw like so much potential in you. They was like, you know, everyone came in, Randy, Jason, Allen, you were a little raw. They said, but we saw like way more potential. So we were like on you. And I couldn't understand, like, why y'all guys so hard on me? You guys don't even like playing, like, you know, but understood it, like, and I would, okay, what we got to do? But everyone was like that. It didn't matter if you played, or if you didn't play. Someone can get in your face, tell you about yourself, and you weren't getting offended about it. And that's what I truly, you know, liked about it. And that's why I realized, you know, true love, you know what I mean? When guys really care. And that's how I am to this day. Like, I tell people now, like Coach Ryder said, I'm going to tell you the truth. You might not like it, but you'll respect me, you know, and you'll know where I'm coming from. And I'll try my hardest to present it in a way where it's not, you know, you don't feel a certain way, but I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm going to just tell you exactly the truth. And I've always appreciated that in my life.
It's funny because Wyatt Maker and I tease Eddie Pinkney all the time. I said, if it wasn't for us, man, you wouldn't be ready for the NBA. We beat the hell out of it. There's no referees in practice, you know? we beat the crap out of you. And I said, so you're buying dinner. I said, anytime we go out, I said, it's on you, because it wasn't for me and Wyatt, you wouldn't be in the NBA. So he laughs. So, that's a running joke we've had for years, the three of us, but it's not far off. I mean, obviously he's an awesome player and a generational talent at Villanova. One of if we had a Mount Rushmore of Villanova basketball players, I would definitely have Ed Pinckney on the Mount Rushmore of Villanova basketball players,
For just so many different on, off the court.
Yeah.
Our program changed when Ed Pinckney came there.
I agree.
Like instantly from just internally, like all the players, I remember was like, yo, Coach P. Like it was like, as soon as he stepped foot on campus, we were in awe of him. This is personality. None of us ever saw him play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, okay, like none of us ever saw him play. But just the type of guy he was, like Coach P. Yes,
he's the best.
He would take the guy, he was finding guys spots to go get hit. Like little stuff like, I'm gonna find you guys spots to get haircut, like little things, just being like the man, like the absolute man.
And you know what, Kurt? He was that way when we were in school together, and he's out of the league, probably more years than he was in the league now at this point in his life, and he hasn't changed that much. And Eddie and I speak probably 2 or 3 times a month, and usually he calls me, because I know he's busy with work and stuff, so he knows that when he gets a break, he calls me, and we wind up staying on the phone for an hour usually. So we talk all the time, and he's one of my favorite guys from that team. I mean, it's just the amazing thing is the money, the fame, the prestige. He was MVP, all that stuff. We played a game. This is hilarious. We played a game my freshman year. We played Georgetown at the Palestra. Okay. And Ed had 27 and 22. Okay. So we come back, we win the game. We're down 6 with about 45 seconds to go in the game. And we win the game in regulation. It was the first time I was in a game where everybody that was in the stands was on the court like that. It was crazy. So we get back to Sullivan Hall after making a stopover at
lived there.
We made a stopover at Smokey Joe's first on the campus of Penn, which was their local watering hole. And then we get back to the dorm, and there's bras and stuff hanging up on Ed's door, and it says Pinckney is God, and it has, he's like, he rips everything off and just throws it, he didn't want anything to do with any of that stuff. He was not that guy,
It was
crazy.
He was when I decided to, I want to try to get into coaching or kind of just learn a little bit about that. He's the person I connected with first. And I want to say he's the person I connected with first. He's one of the people I connected with, but he was the most helpful, the absolute most helpful.
Yeah.
And others who, I had great relationships with, not saying, but Coach P was just like that guy, give you full direction, and really lay it out for you and tell you the truth and how to go about things. And you can just appreciate it, and I just really, really respected the guy for just how he was with everybody, his humbleness, his heart, his character, great family. He's the reason why I stayed at Villanova. I contemplated transferring after my freshman year. I was on my way to Kansas. It was pretty much a done deal, but he's the reason why I stayed. Because Coach Jones was leaving, and I was highly upset when Coach Jones left. I was like, oh man, Coach Jones was my guy, like my guy.
I get that.
And he leaves, and like I said, it was a little bit of frustration with Coach Wright trying to, figure things out, having those freshman woes. But Coach P coming on the staff and really, really helped me, to stay. And I can never be more thankful for them for that. And also just giving me confidence to go into coaching, to try to pursue things. I try to pursue some scouting things and all on my own dime, on my own scouting and trying to put together things. I didn't have no direction. Like, what the hell should I even do?
Yeah.
Coach P was like, hey, try this, do that. And just like, I'm just putting it out there for you. But I was like, all right, if you telling me I need to try this, I'm gonna just go in it blindly and just do it. And I started, finding some opportunity. I just was like, wow, like, I can appreciate that. I never felt like I had that before, when trying to go into a working situation, let's say that other
Yeah.
than sports.
Yeah.
So it was great.
He's the most appropriately nicknamed guy I've ever met in my life. I've never seen him get so angry or anything. Easy Ed, that he lives that moniker. It's that's his whole. I've never seen him yell or nothing in all these years that I know him. So.
Never seen him yell. Never seen him yell
Nope.
at a player. Like,
Nope.
yeah, even if he is mad, it'll come out like he's just talking to you regular. You wouldn't even know it. Like, you wouldn't.
Well, you can tell by his body language that you can tell when he starts doing stuff with, I know his body language.
Like, I don't want to get a break character. I can't break character, so I'm holding it in.
Yep.
But Chuck, I want to touch base a little bit about the current team and what's going on. I know you've gone to a couple games, watched the games. What are you thinking about the team right now? I know the transition between Cal and Jay, the team looks a little bit different right now. We're still figuring out. We're injured, young, like you said, Cal. But what do you see so far?
I think they're trying to find themselves. And now that Cam is back, it's helped. And I like how they're not throwing them in the deep end right away. They're bringing them off the bench and they're giving them a little bit here and just getting a little taste. And you can see as he starts to get his sea legs back, he's going to be great. I think it's difficult when you lose somebody like Jay, and not only Jay, but you lose Jermaine and you lose Colin. Those and Justin effectively. I mean, that's 4 of the main pieces of last year's Final Four team. And I think they're just kind of trying to find themselves. And some guys are stepping into roles that they're not exactly comfortable with. Listen, we have a lot of good players, no doubt about it. We're just missing that guy. I was talking to Dwight Wilbur yesterday, actually.
I said, how's he doing?
We don't have like Gary McLean, Colin, Jalen, Ryan, we're all that way. Randy, if stuff was getting crazy, they'd grab the ball, tuck it under their arm, and say, get here, get here, get here. We don't have that yet. They're trying to grow into that, and I think Arch being a senior, but he didn't have the playing time that other guys had to kind of grow into that role where you could make mistakes and learn from your mistakes. He's kind of, okay, you're in that role now. And that's difficult for anybody. And he's doing an adequate job. He's the guy, he's like the energizer to me, he comes in and he's diving into the stands for a ball. He's taking charges. He's on the ground. He's doing all the stuff that nobody really wants to do. He does that you need on a team like that, on a Villanova team.
Most efficient.
So I think we've won a few in a row now. I think tomorrow night's going to be one that it's going to be a challenge. We're going to see exactly where we are. First Big East game at the Finn. St. John's is 11-1. The fun part for me, Kurt, is my daughter is a grad student at St. John's. So she's telling me that there's going to be bad weather. There's going to be a storm coming in Philadelphia. She's telling me, but she tried it. It's funny because a couple of years ago, we went to the St. John's Nova game at the Finn, and Harold Presley was there with 1 or 2 of his kids, and we're sitting in the front row behind the bench as we do, and so game's over, and Jay knew that she goes to school there. So he walks in, the first person he sees in the lounge, right off the locker room there is Kathleen. And she goes, "Hey, Kat, I'm really sorry about your Johnnies." And he gives her a hug. He goes, "No, I'm not." And he starts laughing. Everybody started breaking their chops. So, but it was one of those games where it looked like St. John's might pull it out. And then we went on a tear and won by like 15 or something. but she had it in her text. She had all the 85 guys on a text, all her uncles, ready to like hit the button. Like they had a red lightning bolt, and so it was fun. So we've had a lot of fun with that, but we'll see tomorrow. We're going to the game together tomorrow, and I'm kind of nervous about tomorrow's game. I don't know. We'll see.
You bring up a good point, and even with tomorrow's game, we're going to miss exactly what you just stated. A guy who, when things are getting funky, just hold up,
right?
Get everybody organized, and okay, let's go. Because St. John's MO is to speed you up, trap you in the corners, get you rushed, taking quick shots, and just playing out of rhythm. Like that's their specialty. And then getting out on a break in transition, attacking the basket. They got a Nat at the point guard, Tosh Alexander. I think he's loves to harass the guards coming up. So we need that. And having a freshman starting point guard, who's really pretty good. I like Mark.
He's gonna be good.
But again, he still has to get his rhythm, and in a sense of, I like how he was aggressive. The last game he was aggressive. He came out and shot like the first 5 or 6 shots. I forget what maybe the last game or the game before that. Boy, like you said, when the offense gets stagnant, things having that. We really don't have that. And like you said, Chris is a guy who his role has just been, I gotta come in there and get things going, keep us, and he's making sure we're making extra pass. And like I said, all those things that we need to be done.
Think about it like this, Kurt, right? Think about it like this, right? From going back now, since they've had this big championship run and all this other stuff, right? Ryan comes in and he learns from the guy that was there, okay? And then he gets his time and he comes in. Ryan teaches Jalen. Jalen teaches Colin, okay? Colin teaches Justin. Justin's out. He wasn't working with Caleb or with Chris, and those guys are like, okay, I'm in this role now, but I didn't have my mentor, to me, that's what it seems like to me from sitting in the stands. And I haven't been to practice yet or anything like
crazy?
that.
Ryan actually didn't learn from anybody.
Yeah, right. It's true.
I think about it. I was there, right?
Ryan came in, he was captain right from the jump,
Ryan's first, I remember he came in again, he was struggling with the back injuries and things of that nature. And I was just like, and everyone was saying like, nah, he's really, really good. And I was like, all right, I can't wait to see it. But he was like really hurt. You couldn't see him move. But he had days. So maybe out of 5 days, 2 days, you saw like what Ryan could be feeling good, And then 3 days, he just be, I'm like, all right. But one thing about Ryan that it didn't matter what day it was, whether he was feeling good or not feeling great. When it came to situational things, he excelled. I don't care if he couldn't move or not. When it came to a situation, you needed the right pass, a shot to be made, whatever it was, Ryan would finish it every time. I was like, dang, I remember myself and Rafael Chilios when he was on the staff that year. Me and him would just sit on the sidelines and look at each other like, I don't know what it is, man, but it's something about Arch that's just different. I was like, I don't know what it is. And again, it wasn't the speed. I was like, when it comes to a game winner or anything, I said, I'm putting the ball in his hand. And his first Big East game was against St. John's, and he had 32 points. And he went against the guy who was, I guess, it was another guy named Alexander. I forget his name, was a really good player for St. John's. And he lit it up. And I just was like, yeah, like that's the guy. But again, Ryan was different than, if I had to get him close to any point guard, I would say he was different from Nardi, but very good similarities. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
he was a coach on the court, is what he was.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I go through this with my partner on our podcast on the Big East Rewind with Sonny. Sonny was a point guard. I was obviously a big, and the point guards get all the coaching jobs. Well, it's because they were coaches on the floor, and Arch was a coach on the court. Like he was He knew exactly where everybody was supposed to be, as a good point guard should,
I think Mike, I think Arch was, I think Mike was more of a, as far as all the point guards that's come through there, I really think Mike, there's no secret why Mike's a coach now. Like Mike has always been like maniacal and crazy in the head. We joke about it, but you can see like him, he can be a coach one day because that's how Mike always was, very, very bold.
I thought by now you would have seen Arch on the bench as a coach.
Yeah, if Arch did it like naturally, just kind of. Mike was like, no, like boom, boom, boom. I remember Mike was like, we would have like summer workouts and stuff, and Mike was like, Mike, you want to run this workout? We would say, Mike, run this workout for us. Mike, like, all right, boom, let's go. Mike would run some of our warm-up workouts and stuff for us because we, as players, Mike was a year younger than me. We would trust Mike because Mike was just, that was his thing. You know what I mean? Certain guys have their thing. Mike was a beyond gym rat. So he taught guys how to become gym rats. Guys worked out, but Mike taught guys how to become gym rats. Alan will tell you, well, I'm saying Alan because Alan's dad, Alan was pretty good at that. But myself, Randy, Hal, people will tell you like Mike was a little bit different with that. And I think him coming to the team helped Villanova, like really, really helped Villanova. I'm not even gonna lie to you because Mike, he was an extension of Coach Wright for sure. For what I'm hearing, I didn't chance to see it as much in-house. Heard Jalen just was cerebrally just far more advanced than all the other guards that came through there as far as like understanding the game. And there's no secret. I mean, he had the exposure to it and to see it in a different light and have it explained different. Like I didn't watch film until I got to college. Like
none of us did.
I thought I watched film in high school. Who made that film tape? Who made the scout tape? Like it was a different game. I saw the game differently. Like, oh wow, like that's how reading angles and understanding. Oh, that's where I'm at. Oh, when I got the ball over here, like that's really what's going on behind me. What's going? I know what's going on because we're in practice, but now I get to see it. So it's crazy how you say you leave different situations and you just get better and better, man.
Yeah. Absolutely. And so, again, that's what we're missing, I think, is that guy that just says, all right, go here.
I got it. But we will get there. Once Justin gets back after the new year sometime, we'll have that. And
I think we're not even close to peaking yet, Kurt. I mean, I think this team is poised. If we can hang in there for a few more weeks and then get everybody together, maybe in January, early February, go through February and then explode in March. That's kind of what I'm hoping for,
I'm loving the fact that Caleb is playing a lot of one. It may not look great all the time, but I love it because he's getting those reps now. And then we know once we get Justin back and then we get Mark, because Caleb is great at playing off of people. Like that's, he's a catch and shoot, but now he's showing like, hey, you can put the ball in my hand situation. I can go run the offense, get a shot. I like him being in that because it felt like the way our style play, our point guards do a lot of posting up and doing certain things. And I feel like he's getting more reps at that. In the last couple years, I didn't see him getting his back downs, but he's physically strong and able. I think he's showing people he has a different type of, he's a better player.
You think about this, Kurt, right? So he was probably on last year's team without, I'm not speaking out of turn. He was maybe our fourth option, maybe. Right. Is that about right? Right.
Yes.
Now he's our first option. So you go from having the fourth best guy guarding you to having the first best guy guarding you. It's different, and he's playing well. It's not, he's playing well. There's ups and downs like anybody else has, but that's a big change, man. When you go from having the fourth best defender guarding you, now you got the best defender guarding you because you're the number one option. That's a game changer. And people don't realize that when you're sitting on your couch watching the game, they don't know. But that's really what's happened here. That's a big adjustment. And so
that's just so you will be at the game tomorrow?
I absolutely will. I will be there with my daughter Kathleen, and we'll have some fun there for sure.
Sure, man. Well, I'll definitely catch you there. I'm gonna come and check out the squad. I
Yep.
think my godfather is gonna make the drive up as well, so I'll see him there. He's a
Nice.
big St. John's fan, so I'll be trying to. He'll be sitting behind the St. John's bench. I'll be sitting behind the Villanova bench. I'll make sure I'll be looking at him, after we kick their butt.
Yeah, I
But
hope
Chuck,
so.
man, I appreciate you getting on the show. Like I said, you're one of the Villanova all-time greats. We love you. We love the fact that you're always there. Someone we can always talk to. I'm glad that we have this relationship.
Yeah.
And can't wait to see what it continues to grow into. But thank you so much, man. And,
Yeah, thank
and I
you.
know you got your show going on, and I can't wait to be a guest on it. And
Yeah,
talk some
hopefully
more
we
hoops
get you
with
guys. I'd love to set that up with Jay Frey, you, Alan, and Randy. I think that would be a really, really interesting discussion on, Coach Wright's first real recruiting class, and that you guys are the guys that started this whole run that we went on for the last 20 years. So that'll be a lot of fun to have you guys on the Big East Rewind with us. They'll have fun.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it, brother.
All right, my
Appreciate
man.
you. Thank you
All
so
right, brother.
much. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, you too. All right,
Go
best.
Cats.
Go Cats.
That's another show of Blue Blood on the Mainline, everyone. Enjoy your holidays. Talk to you soon. We're good.